Hello and welcome to End of Days Radio from the broken ruins of Babylon. This is End of Days Radio. Hello, how are you? Today's date is Saturday, February 4th, 2023. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. We have a very special guest today, none other than, I hope I'm saying his name right, Stijn Fawkes from the Greyhorn Pagan podcast. We'll bring him on in a second here. But first, I want to remind everybody to go to endofdaysradio.com. From there, you can find an updated schedule for the show. You can also catch up on any related news. You can also donate there. Appreciate your donations. And from there, you can join our Discord as well. So very excited about that. And remember to stay tuned after our interview because we have a little wrap-up section planned. You might notice my camera's working a little better. So I figured out what the issue was. My camera looked really bad, but then I remembered that I actually was supposed to use a USB 2.0 port, not a USB 1.0 part. So that explains why my camera was looking like crap for several episodes. I should have known that, but somehow because I moved like 2 or 3 times, I got confused from all the moving. But never mind that. Let's get this show on the road and bring on our wonderful guest. Hello.
Good evening.
So, did I say your name right? Stijn Fawkes?
No, it's Stijn Fawkes.
Stijn Fawkes.
Yeah.
I should have known.
Everybody keeps calling me Stygian. Like you're the 5th or 6th now. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I don't think Stygian is actually any type of name, but
well, let's make it one. Why don't we?
I love that ceiling pattern you got going. That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Is that like a projector or something like that?
Oh yeah, that's just a basic lights projector, like the kind of a galaxy lamp, but the budget version.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, Stijn, am I saying it right now? Stijn
Yes.
Fawkes? Can
Yes,
you
sir.
just tell us a little bit about yourself? I mean, I know you got a great up and coming podcast, but I'd love to know a little bit more.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm Stijn Fawkes. I'm a born and raised Dutchie living in the Netherlands. I am the host of the Greyhorn Pagans podcast, indeed, and Jarl, or leader, if you will, head of the tribe of the Greyhorn Pagans. I actually started the tribe first, then the podcast. In my free time, I like weightlifting, jiu-jitsu, and as always, I have my kitty co-host with me. That's Timmy. Just every show I do, he has to be there. So, yeah, that's it's a little about me. Germanic pagan, of course, Norse Germanic. That's my main path, but I'm becoming more eclectic as time passes and I keep learning more. I try to learn a little every day, but main path is still Germanic paganism.
And how did you become interested in paganism?
I've always been kind of a history nut. Always had a passion for history. I loved the stories and the progression of humankind, how we, according to what you get taught in school, of course, how we went from ape to like what we are now, and even further than this. So that's always been a thing of mine, loving history and loving stories and storytelling. Back in high school, we used to try and trick our history teacher in just telling us stories instead of actually teaching us class. Um, we usually succeeded in that, so I had a lot of fun history classes, and I believe you learn more through storytelling than through just reading from a book. And paganism, religion didn't really come on my path till later in life. I've always been interested. I've always um, find it fascinating, the stories and how big of a impact it has on people. Both my parents were raised Roman Catholic, so I know what the inside of a church looks like. I've been to services as a kid, but never really got religious. Never really went the Christian route. I tried, of course, especially when when an ex girlfriend of mine with whom I actually moved in here, she left me, and I was like really alone for the first time in years. So I needed um, something to hold on to, something to pick me back up. And religion, Christianity, Catholicism, whatever it may be, it's an easy go to. Of course, I
Is
tried.
the cat okay?
Oh yeah, he's always
Oh, there he is.
he
That's hilarious.
he's a little red bastard, but I love him. Um, but yeah, I tried the whole Christian thing at first, of course, because it's my family was already Catholic, and it's a lot easier. But I never went like full fledged Christian. I just couldn't. The one thing that really stopped me from that was the believe or else part, is what I like to call it. Believe in me, believe in God and Jesus, and live according to their will in the book, and whatever or else, you'll get punished and sent to hell and burned forever and all that stuff. That just didn't it didn't fly with me. It's just something I couldn't get over, if you will. It brought on so much stress, and I was constantly um, like watching what I was saying, what I was doing, what I was thinking, even, and not really living my life because of it, because I was just so incredibly focused. So that didn't work. I still stayed somewhat spiritual, if you will. I always believe that there is a higher power in this universe or outside this universe, or dimension, or however you want to call it. So I kind of went the agnostic route for a while. Just yes, I believe in a higher being. Just don't know what to call it, or I don't necessarily have to call it anything. Um, kind then when my eyes were opened to how this world actually works, um, that was a big shock for me. I fell into quite a deep depression. Really went nihilistic for a moment. If the dark forces, if you will, really got a hold on me. Went full fledged activist. Was part of of the Occupy movement here in the Netherlands. Looking back, I'm not sure what we have accomplished, if we have accomplished anything really. And actually, funny enough, through my activism and looking into the parasitic elite, is what I like to call them nowadays, the whole darker occult, I actually found my own light, found my own religion. Which was a whole path, and paganism really came on my path when I was in my early 20s. I started to be more interested in that, in the whole nature-based religions, if you will. So kind of animism, kind of paganism. Even though paganism, of course, comes from animism, which is the belief that, in short, God is nature and nature is God. The nature is the divine. And funny enough, like the Norse paganism or Germanic paganism kickoff for me was the TV show Vikings.
I'm so glad that you brought that up because I was, of course, planning to ask you about that show. It's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, no, especially the first two seasons were they were really good, and even though they were, still Hollywood, still kind of exaggerated and not entirely historically accurate. I liked I love the aesthetics, first of all, and just the whole warrior spirit, warrior society, and I don't know, it just something just clicked, and that's when I God. Ja, je bent irritant. And that's when I started diving deeper into paganism, Norse paganism at first, of course. From the Vikings, in the show they already, showed some things about the gods and how they supposedly work and operate, and how they manifest themselves here in Midgard, in the human realm, in the in the human world, one of the 9 worlds, one of the 9 realms of the Yggdrasil, of the life tree. And yeah, just went from there, and I'm still, like I said, I'm still trying to learn new things every day. Some things I've had to unlearn when new evidence showed itself, and the internet definitely made it a lot easier for me to find creators, to find like-minded people, to find the information that I was looking for, even though it still has its pitfalls, of course, because everybody can just write stuff on the internet. There are ideas and theories out there about Nordic paganism or Germanic paganism, which just like absolutely make no sense at all. Favorite, yeah, like the favorite one in the pagan community, we call it kind of our crazy uncle, is Varg Vikernes. He was from a black metal band, I believe, and he has this obsession with everything being a allegory for like sexual reproduction. He'll go on and on about the placenta and how the world tree is like the placenta and all of that. So yeah, like we kind of like sort of lovingly call him the crazy uncle of paganism, because he just kind of went off the deep end. like he's that crazy uncle that everybody has, that at the dinner table at Christmas just spouts all these crazy theories, and you're just, just smiling and nodding and just be like, yeah, that's Uncle Vark. And yeah, eventually in March of last year, March 2022, I decided to start a podcast after having listened to several podcasts already, been on the My Third Eye podcast, which is more mysticism. And yeah, I had such a great time doing that, and I had so much fun that I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it myself. So I just started doing it, recorded a few episodes, had really no idea what I was doing at first, but I've learned more with every episode I do, not just about the topics that I talk about, or that my guests talk about, but also how to structure a podcast and make it interesting and keep it interesting and all. And I think from December till now, I've had a few of my biggest and most interesting guests on. I think best one I did, or the easiest one I did, I should say, was with Thomas Sheridan. He's such a great guy and great mind, and the energy was just so good, and it went very fluently, and I didn't have to think about things, didn't have to struggle to come up with questions or topics. And it's those kind of podcasts that I enjoy best doing. And of course, I've had people from the tribe of the Greyhorn Pagans on. It's how I really started, just with a couple of tribal members talking about things they're interested in. And yeah, I've been growing from there, trying to get as many different kinds of guests on as I can, talking about many different topics, but all ranging within the paganism, mysticism, occult sometimes. So yeah, it's been quite the journey, and especially with the podcast, I've only just started. So I keep going every day. I've been dabbling more into mysticism and esoterica lately, trying to broaden my horizon, expand my mind when it comes to those topics. I always find them fascinating, but I wanted to have a good base to work from. And paganism, Germanic paganism, really gave me that base. The mythology is there, the gods are there, the stories are there, the belief is there. So from there, it's a lot easier to go a little deeper into the more mystic topics, whether they are in line with what I know from paganism or not. I try to keep an open mind. I know that not everybody shares my ideas. Not everybody agrees with me. No two pagans are the same. Best example I always give is he's become a good friend of mine, Joshua. He is a tribal elder. He's been with us quite a long time. I want to say like almost from the beginning. He's a Germanic pagan as well, but he has different ideas, different opinions, sees things in a little different way than how I see them, even though we both believe in the same gods and walk the same path. So I always thought that was quite interesting. That's why I love just having discussions with him as well, and other pagans, whether they be Germanic, Celtic, Roman, Greek. Um, a lot of stories they connect to each other. They line up, especially North European, of course. The Celtic gods have a lot of similarities to the Nordic gods or Germanic gods, which are basically the same, just a little different. And even if you go to Eastern Europe, you'll see a lot of commonalities, a lot of gods who will have things in common. For example, I think the best known god from the Norse pantheon is Thor, or Donar, as we know him in the Germanic speaking countries. Um, I I kind of have to give Marvel credit for that. They even though they absolutely bastardized Odin, Loki, and Thor, they did bring the gods. They did bring the god names into the mainstream. Um, I've had discussions about that as well because I was fiercely against it. But yeah, Thor in the Eastern European pantheon would be, I believe, that would be Perun. The only like real difference is the name, of course. And in Germanic paganism, Norse Germanic paganism, Thor wields Mjolnir, which is a hammer, and in Eastern European tradition, in Eastern European paganism, Perun has a battle axe. But other than that, they're basically the same god. So you could say
Yeah, I
that
always wondered
they're
myself if there was some crossover with Bell as well, because I know Bell has a mace, and it after he throws it, it returns to him. And when I found that out, it wasn't really that long ago. I was thinking to myself, that's got to be Thor. I mean,
yeah, yeah. I'm not not that familiar with the Canaanite gods, but I've heard a lot of the similarities. I've seen a lot of the similarities. People making the connection between them, and all Baltic mythology is really interesting. It's there's not much known about it. Unfortunately, a lot of it has been lost, which is a shame. But yeah, all the older gods, they have they have their things in common. Of course, all coming from one Indo-European or Proto-Indo-European root, which goes back just thousands of years. The European pantheons are, in the grand scheme of things, they're quite new, if you will. Even if you look at the Greek gods, the Greek and Roman gods, you see a definite distinction between the North European gods and the Southern European gods, or the Mediterranean gods. But still, there are a lot of a lot of things in common, a lot of commonalities. Best example is Hercules, or Heracles, as the Greeks knew him. He has his club, and which is the club of Hercules, has been compared a lot to Mjolnir of Thor. And who is Hercules' father? Well, that's Zeus, the thunder god, who throws his lightning bolts. So you could say that in the Greek pantheon, Greek mythology, that who we here in Northern Europe know as Thor has been kind of split up in a god and a demigod, because Hercules is not a full god to my knowledge. I believe he's a demigod, or just a hero. Then you have like Jupiter in Roman mythology, or Dies Pater, which has its connections to Odin, who is the main god of the Norse pantheon, the god of wisdom, the furious god of the wild hunt, but also kind of to this is a whole linguistic thing. I'm not too proficient with the linguistics. I find it very interesting, but I'm more of a mythology mystic kind of guy. Although I do admire the guys who are incredibly well versed in the linguistics and where it all comes from. You could even connect him to Tyr or Tivas, the god of justice, which has like whole other connections. Like every god is connected in some way in the mythologies. And yeah, in the mythologies, if anything, they're just amazing stories, and they reflect a lot of things that we see, especially nowadays, with like whatever is going on in the world. The Norse gods, especially the Aesir, which is one side of the gods, one tribe of the gods, if you will. They are more of the warrior archetype. So you'll recognize a lot of yourself, or a lot of traits from other people you'll recognize in them. Odin, god of wisdom, was more of a god of the elite, of the elite class, the ruling class, because he was the wisest of all gods, and the most powerful of all gods, just in overall power, not necessarily strongest. That was Thor. So it makes sense that he is the god of the upper echelons of society, and Thor was the protector, or is the protector of Midgard. He is the god of the common man. He loves humans. He has a great love for us. Things we're just absolutely amazing, even though for a god we would be quite simple, of course. And that's why he's the protector of Midgard, the protector of mankind. On the other side, you have the other tribe is the Vanir, who are more of the nature-based gods. So you'll see a lot of links made with them, and the seasons, and just emotions, love and sadness, or like every mythology, of course, has its story of spring and fall and winter, how that came to be. So just all amazing stories, amazing gods. And
I did want to ask you about something you said earlier. You were talking about how you kind of found out the way that the world works, and it puts you in a little bit of a depression. But my question is really, what was it that made it click for you that the world is not how it seems, that there's these things going on?
Um, Symbolism was a big thing for me. I noticed some symbols, like actual symbols, kept being repeated. The popular, 666 over the eye or the diamonds, and the main thing for me was politics. Actually, politics and politicians, because I kept seeing them making all these great promises. If I get elected, or if my party gets to be the biggest party, then we'll do this, and we'll make sure that this does happen and this doesn't happen. And I kept noticing more clearly over time that they really have, as I said it back then at least, they kind of have two agendas. Like, agenda A is all the things to get them elected. And then once they're elected, agenda A goes in the trash, and agenda B comes out, which is all the things that they're going to do once they are elected. And from there, I just started looking more, started looking a bit deeper. I saw all the symbolism. Of course, pop culture was a big one. Noticed a few things in that which just got me questioning, and that's how I eventually came to the Illuminati and all that, and the 13 families, and that they are really the ones in control. And yeah, when I learned about that, it just, I felt like my own power, my own control, the control I had over my own life. I felt it slipping through my hands, because I was just I felt powerless. I felt that if it's such a minority group of such wealthy and powerful people that is actually in control, that just with a snap of their fingers can make anything happen, then why should I do anything? Why should I try anything? Why should I go get a job and be part of society and all of that? Because they just they live day by day, paycheck to paycheck, and they don't really care, as long as their favorite football team or soccer team has a match on Sunday, and they got their polo nuts and their beer. They're happy. It's just the simple life, and they don't question things, and they don't see it when it's just so incredibly obvious. And it's when I became really, really nihilistic, because like I said, why should I do anything? It doesn't matter anyways, because I'm not the one in control. And if I want to get somewhere, there's gonna be a there's gonna be a ceiling to it. Like, I can only get so far, and to break through that ceiling, I have to sell out and do all these horrible things to show my allegiance to whatever group, name one. And I wasn't about that. I'm not about that. And yeah, later I just I just started realizing for myself, and especially after my ex-girlfriend left me, actually, when I was alone for the first time in years. um I had I literally had space to think. I had time to think, and I could, sit on the couch and just, the whole day long, just damn the whole world and damn this and damn that and damn everybody. And but where does that gonna get me? It's not gonna get me anywhere. The parasitic elite, or the guys in control, they're gonna do whatever they're doing. Doesn't matter if I'm actively participating or sitting on the couch complaining. That's when I decided, you know what, I might as well just participate. Just do something. Get a job, get a education. But in the meantime, in between the lines, try and plant seeds here and there, or do the little things to stand up against the system, if you will. So, buy locally, buy with mostly mostly cash, buy from the independent brands. Try and talk to people and just slip comments in here and there, and see if I can wake up some people, see if I can do my part, no matter how little it is. Because that's the other thing. I was thinking too big. um i was I was trying to be Atlas, taking the whole world on my shoulders, um which just didn't work. If it's me versus the world, i'm not I'm not gonna win that. I'm not gonna. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not gonna. If it's just me, just me versus the 1%, I'm not gonna even make so much as a little dent. They're I'm the fly, they're the swatter. It's and there I go. Gone, replaced for the next one. So that's why I also really started listening to my late grandmother, God's ever soul. She always told me, if you want to create a better world, if you really want to make a better world, start with yourself. Start by making yourself better. Start being a better version of yourself. And it's what I've been trying. It's what I've been doing. And really, ever since I started focusing on my own inner work, my own my own inner alchemy, I have progressed a lot further. I found my gods. I found my tribe. Had to erect my own tribe after I was part of some groups which just really went nowhere. Even though I did learn a lot from them, they really went nowhere fast. And yeah, I met my fiance. I have two beautiful kids. I got a little rascal of a cat. I'm not saying that things are perfect now, but they are definitely better than they have been in a very long time. And basically all because I started doing my inner work, because I started incorporating my own shadow and the things that already gave off some light. I just polished those even further.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Christianity again. I mean, I can already see the comments coming. Paganism is this, paganism is that. And this is also a major theme in our favorite show, Vikings, the Christians versus the pagans. There's the
Yeah.
whole story in the original series with Floki and him kind of confronting the idea of Christianity, and he was very, very stout. He believed in the religion of the Vikings. But what would you say to somebody that is coming at you and saying paganism is evil, it's the devil, it's a demon, it's a demonic doctrine, it's what would you say to somebody that is coming at you with? I'm sure you would ignore them, but what would you say if you if you chose to answer?
um, well, first of all, of course, I would tell them they're wrong. Um, I mean, I know why they would see that, because Christianity like really is a indoctrination, and especially in the more the more strict camps. I hate that when they say that, like, there's the one God, and every other god or every other being that calls himself a god is a demon pretending to be a god and is trying to trick you and all of that. And that's it's such a big pet peeve of mine. I can't stand that. And I've been there, of course, getting really really up in arms and really heated when I hear those people, when I hear, oh, paganism is evil, and you did human sacrifices and it's of the devil. I mean, I've heard it all. um but I've I've grown comfortable enough now that I can, um, if if the other party is willing to listen, of course, I can have a conversation with them. I can tell them, explain to them why my gods have helped me be a better man, be a better person, be a better father, be a better lover. And I mean, if anything, and this is a thing that's really is really coming back up. There's definitely a pagan revival going on, and I absolutely love it. A lot of people are seeing again that, um, the pagan gods, whether they be Roman, Greek, German, you name it, that they are the gods of Europe. They are the original gods. And those hardcore Christians that really have their mindset on paganism is evil, their gods are demons, or the devil himself, or whatever. There's no talking with those people. There is no, you can say whatever you want, but they'll twist your words and turn it against you, um, or pull it out of context. Oh, so you're saying that this god is doing that, and oh, that's evil. It's like, that's not what I'm saying. You're not listening. You're cherry picking and just tearing it out of the context. But if there are, I mean, there definitely are Christians and Catholics who are more open minded. Actually, my gym buddy Lodewijk, I met him at jujitsu, but now he's just doing gym because he wants to get bigger and stronger. Then maybe go back to jujitsu. But he is a diehard Catholic. He'll be showing up late for jujitsu because church service went long, like that that kind of Catholic. But he's a great guy, and he is very open minded, very spiritually minded, very philosophically minded. So with him, I can have incredibly great talks, incredibly great discussions, even though our beliefs are quite the opposite. He believes that he is, saved because, he dedicates his life to, God and Jesus and all. And it's one lifetime and up you go to heaven. And I keep telling him, dude, that's too easy. I like to, well, if you want to put it in his terms, like I like to work for my salvation, because then if I get to join the gods, then at least I would have felt like I've accomplished something, instead of, I accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior, and well, there you go, up to heaven. And we're still kind of trying to change each other's mind. Like I'm trying to get him to see that my gods are valid, and he's still trying to somewhat convert me to Catholicism. I mean, it's a, I guess it's a thing they'll never unlearn. But yeah, the hardcore Christians who really have their mindset on things, I would just say, you're wrong. That's not true, and leave them to it, because there is no discussing those people. But if they're a little more open-minded and willing to engage in conversation, I can bring up numerous examples. I can explain to them why my gods aren't necessarily bad gods, why they're not of the devil. No, they're definitely not perfect. Odin definitely is not perfect. He did some terrible things. Um, but we have to. So it's a good question, and funny that you mentioned Floki, because in the series Vikings, he is a boat builder. He is a carpenter, and like Jesus is supposed to be the son of a carpenter. So there is definitely some interesting symbolism going on with that, especially if you in the series, how if you see how much he just hates Athelstan, the Christian monk from the raid on Lindisfarne that they brought with him. And Floki, of course, named after the god Loki, the trickster god. They portrayed the characters really, really well in the show Vikings, and I think that's why I connected on a deeper level, because the character traits, especially in the first two seasons, were really, really good. And the scenes with the druid, or the tribal magician, if you will, they were kind of gross, kind of spooky at times, but it's how they did it back then. But yeah, if someone believes something else, like I said, I have grown comfortable enough that I'm willing to engage in conversation, as long as the other party is too. Because if I'm just talking and you're not listening, then I'm just wasting energy, and I'm gonna do something else.
What do you think of the idea that Christianity actually is a form of paganism?
Um, Catholicism is really, really close to paganism. Catholicism has incorporated a lot of pagan uses, a lot of pagan gods, pagan deities. Actually, we just had the feast of Imbolc on the I believe it was the 1st or 2nd of February. The festivities are associated with the Celtic god Bridget, who is the daughter of the Dagda, who is the head god of the Tuatha De Danann, the Celtic gods, the Celtic tribe. And the Catholics actually adopted her as a saint, but never changed her name, never really changed what she's about. It's just she's now Saint Bridget instead of the goddess Bridget. And paganism is a lot about ancestor worship or ancestor veneration. You know, all the people that became or that came for you, how no matter how many generations those may be, because because of them you are here, and you carry their legacy with you. You carry their blood runs through your veins. And Catholicism really has that too. They are a lot about your ancestors, about family. So that there's a common saying that Catholicism is the most pagan form of Christianity. And I do believe that that Christianity, as it was was taught by Christ, assuming that he was a real historical figure, I do believe it was or is, if you really go back to the roots, is a proper mystery school. There is a lot to be learned from it. It's not bad. It's just when it got organized, when it really started to be a organized religion, some cracks started to show. And especially after, who was that? Constantine, I believe, the pagan emperor of Rome, and the Council of Nicaea, when they really started to pick and choose what and what not to to include and incorporate in the Christian Bible. That's when it really lost its meaning. I don't think that Christianity belongs in Europe. We have our gods, we have our mythologies, we have our mystery schools. But I think as a mystery school itself is it's really good. It's not a bad one. It's just it's made bad. It's been co-opted. It's been incorporated. Zoroastrianism is one of the beliefs that Christianity pulls from. There are a couple of different older religions dating before Christ that Christianity has really incorporated things from and made their own. But then again, every religion does that. Like, there are now pagans who incorporate things of Christianity, or which are like first started by the Christian Church. They now incorporate it into their pagan practices. And paganism or Christianity has, when they came into Europe, they have taken a lot from European paganism. also as a way to make the conversion easier. The example I gave with the goddess or Saint Bridget is a really good example, because they then the church could say to the pagans um, of the British of Britannia, or the British Isles, or Great Britain, oh, but now you're actually worshiping a saint. Now you're actually worshiping a Christian saint, because we incorporated her. So now she's no longer a goddess. Now she's our saint. So if you continue to worship her, you're actually worshiping a Catholic saint. So, you're technically, through that, you are Christian already. You might as well go for a full conversion. You might as well, get baptized. You're already worshiping our gods or our saints. So we really take a lot from each other. And
Is there
Catholicism,
a devil in paganism?
no, not one figure we recognize as a devil as Christianity does. We do have our darker spirits. We do have our darker realms, but not one in particular, because that would also mean that we would have one god we venerate above all other gods. A lot of people say that's Odin, the All Father. He is like, you have the gods of the Aesir, and then you have Odin. But that's really that's really a Christian concept. Then you're making Odin the one god, and all the other gods, like his saints or lesser gods. But no, not one entity that rules over everything bad or causes everything bad. We do have our darker realms, where people will get punished in the afterlife. Especially, it was a big thing. Oath breakers. If you broke your oath, then pretty much all hope was lost for you, and you will end up in Niflheim, I believe, where you will be punished for all eternity, where the dragon guarding the realm, I don't know his name by heart at the moment, but will kind of like forever chew on your bones, and you're just, there ain't no coming back, because
Is that the
you've
same as the world serpent?
no, that's another entity, actually.
Oh, gotcha.
That's one of the children of Loki, actually. The world serpent is that's a interesting creature as well. His name escapes me at the moment. Jormungandr, the world's snake, who is actually more of a Ouroboros, because he is so big that he goes around the world and bites his own tail. So he is one enclosed circle, one enclosed entity, and covering the whole world. He is one of the children of Loki. Loki has some messed up kids.
So isn't one of his kids like a six-legged horse?
Yeah, Sleipnir, the horse of Odin, on which Odin is able to travel through the or over the Yggdrasil through the dimensions, through the worlds. Yes, it's a that's actually one of the kids of Loki, and one of my favorite stories, how he came to be, because the gods were looking to they're always looking to protect themselves from the giants and the trolls. They were really the enemy of the gods. So they decided it was a good idea to build a wall around Asgard, around the realm of the gods. Um, yes, even the gods think building a wall is a good idea. I don't know why, people here, especially in the Western world, think it's such a bad idea, and or you shouldn't be doing that, when even the gods think it's a good idea. But they needed a proper stonemason for that, of course. Like, you can't just go, chuck up some rocks and call it a wall. So they found a stonemason, or a mason found them. Really, um, he sounded like he knew what he was doing, looked like he knew what he was doing, and he had this giant stallion with him, like this incredibly powerful stallion. And the gods, at first, they weren't so sure about him, because like, he didn't ask for any money or riches in return. All he wanted was Freya's hand in marriage. Freya, the goddess of love and war, the most beautiful of all the gods, and just really, really wanted by just about every creature with half a brain living on the Yggdrasil. Um, and the gods, like, they really weren't about that. It's a regular stonemason. She is the goddess of love and war, the head of the of the Vanir tribe. That's not gonna happen. But then, Loki convinced them to still do it, but to give him a kind of um, impossible time frame. He said he could do it in, I believe, five or six seasons. And Loki said, "Okay, just like, guys, we really need this wall. So what if we just give him a impossible time frame? Let's say, 3 seasons. He has to have it fixed and set up and done in 3 seasons. And if he manages that, he'll get Freya's hand in marriage. It's not gonna happen anyway, because who builds a wall around around Asgard, around an entire realm, in just 3 seasons?" So the gods, they were like, "Yeah, okay. I mean, you've tricked us before, but you make a good point. 3 seasons doesn't matter. It's really not possible. Okay, Mister Stone Mason, you got a deal, but if you can do it in 3 seasons." Stone Mason said, "Okay, it's kind of short, but I'll make it happen." Worked day and night, and you got, like, the nearest quarry was miles and miles away. So there is no way that, like, if he had to carry it all by hand, all the stones by hand, cut them, carve them, and bring them by hand back to Asgard and build the wall, there was no way he was going to be able to do it in time. But that's why he had his stallion with him, because his stallion was so strong and powerful. He was able to carry, I imagine, on a sled of some sort, just multiple stones with him. So the stonemason, after let's say season and a half, 2 seasons, he was actually making really good progress, and it looked like he was actually gonna finish the wall in 3 seasons, which meant they were going to give him Freya's hand in marriage, which they really did not want to. So Loki thought of a scheme, because he saw, okay, that stallion is really what makes him, make such good time. So if he doesn't have his stallion, the quarry is so far away, he's never gonna be able to finish it in time. So on I believe the final night of the third season, like the night or the day when before he was supposed to finish, Loki shapeshifted into a beautiful mare, and actually, like, told the stallion, like, hey, hey, good looking, come over here, I got something for you. And lured the stallion away from the stonemason, which made the stonemason miss the dates, miss the timeline. So the gods had a free wall. They didn't have to give Freya's hand in marriage, although the stonemason was really pissed and turned out to be a giant trying to trick the gods. But, like, don't worry, Thor dealt with him. Was not the first giant he dealt with. Not the first giants, as he kicked out of Asgard. And like, after a while, Loki gave birth. I'm not sure how, but we're talking about the gods, so of course I wouldn't really be able to understand it. But he gave birth to Sleipnir, the eight-legged horse, and Odin, also being a benevolent god at times, at least, because in the end it was Loki who fixed his own mistake, who made sure that the giant stonemason didn't make the timeline. It's a classic story of Loki convinces the gods to do something, he messes it up, but fixes it in the end. So Odin took Sleipnir under his wing, and yeah, now he travels on Sleipnir over the 9 realms. So in the end, it all worked out, luckily, because they would quite literally have Loki's head for it if it didn't. So,
Question from the chat from Grub: do you seem to venerate the nature of the gods rather than just worship, in quotes, the god's image?
yes, very much so. The For me, especially the Aesir, I see them as the archetypes. So, yes, they're very nature. They're very characteristics. Their power is what we worship, or what we venerate. We do, of course, have our statues, our imagery. Most popular one being, of course, the Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. But it's not like, through this we're not worshiping, a necklace or a image or whatever this is. um, how do I explain that? I know what I know what I want to say. I'm just thinking of uh, how to explain it. You could say that this image, if you will, is infused with the energy of the gods, with the power of the gods, or we can connect to their energy through the image or through the symbols and symbolism. So we don't necessarily worship the god's image, but we do use symbols and statues, and we also have our altars, of course, but they are merely channels, if you will, for the energy of the gods. It's not like you'll see in a lot of Christian households when they put up the crucifix that is, is Jesus Christ, is the power of God, even though a proper Christian would say that it is infused with the power of Christ or with the power of God. So no, image worship definitely is not a thing. We use it as representation or as channel for the power and the energy of the gods. Yeah, Hinduism and also Buddhism are two religions that came from the Proto-Indo-European people. They There was a people who lived. I've spoken to Krakenford about this. They lived on the Eurasian steppe, in what we nowadays would call, in the Middle East or Asia Minor. So Syria, around that part, and they made their way into Europe and eventually also into the East, and became they became that was one of them, indeed, the Shintashta, and they became the Indian castes. They became the Indo-Aryans, the Aryan people, and the Europeans. That's why you'll see a lot of commonalities and a lot of similar stories and similar gods in the Eastern pantheon as well as in the Western pantheon, because they all came from one and the same people who spread themselves throughout Europe and throughout Asia.
Earlier, you were talking a little bit about giants. What do you think about this idea that there really were giants in the past, or maybe there's still some walking around today?
I believe it. I believe it to be fact. There are so many. There's so much evidence for it. I've done at least two shows on my own podcast with Joshua, one of the tribal elders, about giants and how a lot of their skeletons, or how a lot of evidence, like actual physical evidence of giants, has seemed to have disappeared over the years, over the centuries. And like, even if you just take it from a biological standpoint, we had and still have giant trees. We had giant sea creatures. We had giant lizards, the dinosaurs. But like we had a giant version of everything, you know, like even millipedes. Like we had millipedes several foot long, which is a really scary thought. Um, so it would only make sense, you know, like I said, even looking from a more biological standpoint, that we would have giant humans or giant humanoids as well. And I fully believe that if not still alive today, um, that there have most certainly been human races. And I do believe that there are still people, there are still lineages that carry some sort of giant DNA, and I think a lot of them can be found here in Europe, but also a lot in, from what I've seen, in the more rural Asian areas. So, like areas like Nepal, for example, where things just have a lot of space to grow, and where everything is still natural, and where the air is just so much cleaner. And I think that's one of the actually one of the reasons why it seems that humanity, like even us humans in size, we're shrinking because um, we're not getting the right nutrition. Like everything is fake nowadays, or has a lot of fake ingredients. Even if you look at the Germanics from back in the golden days of tribal Germany, or the golden days of the Vikings. Yeah, they were still about 6 foot tall, but they were just like these big barrel chested guys because of just natural food and hard labor, and they were naturally big. And I think, as Grub just mentioned, also when the sun changes, like the sun has a lot to do with it as well. And the sun, from what I have been seeing, from what I've been reading, has been acting up. So that may be another reason why all these things are coming to life. I am not sure about Sasquatch and the Yowies, which are from Australia, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if they are physical beings. I am more inclined to say that they are interdimensional beings, who are able to manifest themselves physically, even if it's just for a brief moment. But yes, I do believe that giants are real, were real. If they still walk around here on Earth, I'm not sure.
I got another one for you.
Okay.
What about elves? Do you think there could really be elves out there?
Um, that's a good one. Just a higher vibration, very knowledgeable, very wise. Yeah, I do believe that. I mean, maybe not in the way that we see them portrayed in pop culture. And if we're going by pop culture references, I think they they would most likely look the way that that Tolkien portrayed them. Elves are the Fae. Yeah, well, connected to the Fae. I would say they are. They're not necessarily the same entity, but you could definitely place the elves under the Fae or fairy umbrella, if you will, a lighter, higher vibration kind of entity. I'm at this point, I'm very much more inclined to say that the mythologies are closer to the actual truth than the history we have been taught in school.
Yeah, what's up with that? Do you feel that, we've been talking about these people that call themselves an Illuminati, these controllers. Do you feel that they are hiding the real history from us?
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. And yeah, it's funny. I've actually done a podcast recently with someone with the sarcastic warlock, talking about like a whole lot of metaphysical and mystic stuff. But they are definitely hiding. They are definitely hiding a lot of knowledge and keeping it in their inner circles, um, keeping it in their temples, keeping it in their churches, their brotherhoods. Because I do believe that, even though, as you know, the story goes that that a lot of those brotherhoods got infiltrated, I do believe that there is a lot of ancient knowledge to be found in there, even though maybe a lot of them don't actually realize what they are doing, don't realize how powerful the rituals are that they are performing. And but yeah, there is definitely knowledge being hidden, and the truth can be hidden for long. The truth can be suppressed for long. It'll come out eventually. It's been, coming out faster and faster. Um, there's a popular joke going on. What's the time between conspiracy theory and conspiracy fact? Well, a matter of months. If you want to know what's going on in the world, visit your local conspiracy theorist. He knows, because it's true. The a lot of things that it they get a bad rap. A conspiracy theorist, they get a bad rap, or people that say or claim that they know what's going on. They get a bad rap, and there's definitely infiltration in that going on as well, because the ruling class, they want to keep that knowledge for themselves. Whatever they know, whatever, even if you go by technology, whatever technologies they have, they are at least 30 years ahead of us. And whatever we're getting is being drip fed. It's what you'll see a lot with the military, for example. A lot of technology will first be used by the military, then later be transformed or downgraded for more commercial use. but there is definitely a lot of knowledge still being hidden. They want to keep that knowledge hidden because that's knowledge is what gives them power. They know things that we don't. They have the sacred texts. They have the secret texts. They perform the rituals and actually know what they're doing. They know what they are trying to manifest in this physical reality, and it's that power that they want to keep, that they don't want to give up, and therefore they have to hide the knowledge. Or even if we do find some of it, even if we do discover some of it ourselves, then at least have it so incredibly watered down that either you're just gonna have to discard it as a whole because it's worthless, or it's so minute that it really doesn't give you any more power than you already have. And I think that's another part of it. Like, some things they will put out there, they will put out in the open. Best way to hide things is in plain sight. It's the last place where anyone will look. And through what people like to call them agents, I'm not a big fan of that word. Like, more puppets who will ridicule themselves, but at the same time have um, all this knowledge, but make it sound so out there that a lot of the common folk, if you will just look at them and be like, sure, sure, just yeah, whatever, man. I This sounds way too out there. You're spouting a lot of nonsense. Whatever. I'm going back to work.
What about this? What about this idea that these elite people, these 13 families, they say, I've heard that they say that they are actually descended from the gods.
Hmm.
What would you have to say about that?
Of course, they would claim that. That would give them validity, and it's really nothing new. The common people did that back in the ancient days as well. It's even the church. We spoke about Christians. Are they the children of God? So of course you would say that, oh yeah, we're descendants of the gods. Our bloodlines are directly connected to the gods, which validates us as rulers, and you can't do anything about it because we are literally a divine bloodline. Don't get me wrong, I definitely do believe that there are divine bloodlines, that there are families, bloodlines here on this physical earth that are divine bloodlines, that have a connection to the gods, a deeper connection to the gods, but they are not the families we know. They are not the families that present themselves as such. I believe that they are the bloodlines or the families who are working in the shadows, but for the light, because the gods are, even though they're, like I said, there are darker entities, the gods are not evil. They are not bad. They would not want this to happen to their creation. They would never cause this. They would never allow this. And I think any religious or somewhat spiritual person, individual, whatever, would agree with me on this, that divine bloodlines, yes, they're real, but are they the 13 families that we know of? No, definitely not. And I'm beginning to believe more and more as I it's not something I do a lot of research in anymore. But I do still pick things up here and then, or here and there. I don't even think that the 13 families that we know, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Vandenbergs, Vanderbilts, they are they are not the real 13 families in power. That there are even older families who are actually in power, and that they are just the families who were willing to be the ultimate fall guy, and that they are the face of evil, but that they're not actual evil, or not the actual physical evil that we say that they are. So yes, divine bloodlines, they're real. I do believe that their descendants do still live here on Earth, but I think the families openly claiming that are doing it to validate themselves. It's another control mechanism. Same with the alien gods, for example. That's not true as well. It's taking power away from mankind, taking power away from humanity itself. We are a lot more powerful than we think. We can accomplish a lot more than we think. Even going back to the whole Occupy movement that I was part of, it maybe maybe it didn't accomplish what it set out to accomplish. How would it? But their slogan, their credence is true. We are the 99%. We are the majority, and the ruling elite, the ruling class, is a minority. So we should be able to overthrow them. We are able to overthrow them, but because we are so scared, or maybe bought in the system, or dependent on the system, that if it crumbles, our lives would crumble as well, and we wouldn't really have anything to stand on, have anything to go from. Although I think that the pagan revival, or the divine spirits, not necessarily coming back to Earth, coming back to humanity, but coming back alive, being coming back from its slumber, waking up from its slumber. It's been asleep for too long, drugged, medicated for too long, sometimes even literally. I do believe that it plays a big role in what will eventually lead to the overthrowing of the current corrupt system, or if not overthrowing the system, separating ourselves from it. And because that's another thing you do with power. If it's not power you can take away, then you separate yourself from that power. If you don't give them that power, if you separate it from themselves, then it's useless, then it's worthless. And the pagan revival, the spirit coming back to life, it's a great start. And it's not going to stop. It's only gonna grow bigger. It's only going to get stronger. Um, Not sure if we'll see the end of it in our lifetimes. Maybe our grandchildren at the earliest, grandchildren of our grandchildren. But we will get out of this dark age eventually. Just gonna take a whole lot of time.
Do you practice magic?
Not actively. No. I do. I do try to keep myself in a higher vibration, if you will. So, doing the things that I love, take care of myself, take care of my body, try to to be educated, to stay educated. Um, I do practice meditation, but active meditation in the form of weightlifting and jujitsu. But no, I do not actively practice magic. I will do rituals every now and then, especially with my fiance. She is a practicing witch, so I will join her, or she will join me in rituals on the bigger holidays, or with the full moon, for example. But I try to um, I see myself more of a warrior slash scholar, if you will, more to the more akin to the Greek ideal. Try to be educated, but also um, try to find my limits physically. A healthy body is a healthy mind, and a healthy mind is a healthy spirit.
Any thoughts on Lucifer or Luciferianism?
Um, yeah, I definitely I don't equate it with Satanism. I think they are two different practices. Lucifer, son of the morning light, the morning star, um, or Venus. That's the planet Venus. That's the brightest star. It's the morning star. Lucifer. I like to believe that he is a being of light. That he is a being of great knowledge, great power, um, but that um, he is not, or it is not necessarily evil, just so strong and unknown, like really, really unknown as well, because so many people will put it in the same category as Satanism, or just say that it's like Luciferianism is Satanism, Satanism is Luciferianism, Lucifer is the devil is Lucifer. No, that's not true. Lucifer is indeed a fallen angel, but an angel is a being of light. It's just he lost his he lost his status as an angel. He is now a of lower rank. And yeah, I can totally imagine that if you were once part of the divine, and you are cast down, or you fall down into a lower realm, I can definitely imagine that it pisses you off. It doesn't sound like a fun experience to me. I have I have fallen myself a few times into lower vibrations, more animalistic tendencies. Um, I have I have needed to fight some of my inner demons, climb back to some of the depths that I fell into. It's not bad. It's just hard. It's a yes. It's not a place that you want to be, and I totally understand that. I totally understand Lucifer. I understand if we go by the story that God cast him out of heaven because he did certain things that the Christian God did not agree with. I get why you would hold a grudge, um, but at the same time, if we were to believe that he's the same as Satan, or that hell is Lucifer's kingdom or Lucifer's realm. I mean, yes, he got cast out of heaven, but he still has a whole realm to rule over. Yes, it's a lower realm, but it's still a realm for himself. So I believe he is a light being, just misunderstood at best, not evil.
Do pagans use psychedelic mushrooms?
Some will. Some will definitely use use psychedelica. A lot of pagans are mystic minded, of course, and they will try and seek a closer connection to the gods. Um, Although I do not believe that psychedelics or just um, physical things in general will bring you closer to the divine. It may open some portals. It may be easier to open some portals, or to travel to certain realms with the use of psychedelics. But I do not believe it is the end all be all. But there are definitely pagans who will use it. I don't myself. I have never used it either. I'm a little too cautious, if you will, because I have experienced bad stuff. I have experienced more darker beings, more darker realms, and psychedelics does leave you open to those as well.
So you've had
But
some like paranormal or entity experiences?
yes, paranormal, interdimensional, yes, most definitely, energetic. I've I've had a lot of different experiences over my lifetime, and I just turned 31 last January. So, but yes, I have definitely with and without the help of certain mind altering substances, I have experienced a lot. I have seen a classic full body apparition. I have experienced. I've done a little pendling, which is, I believe, it's a form of divination, which I didn't took seriously at the time when I did it. After one incredibly scary experience, I have never done it since, and I have done energetic work, energetic experiments to connect to the gods, or to connect to the energy of of the gods, and that definitely was an interesting experience, and something I am looking to recreate, but a little with little more guidance. And I will be attempting something like that again in April. I already signed up for something, but yes, I have had a lot of experience and a lot of I've had a lot of good experiences, and I have had some lesser experiences, some experiences that left me spooked, some experiences that um, really scared me at that time, but all um, have strengthened my relationship to the gods, and have strengthened my light side, and made me understand my own dark side, my own shadow a little better.
Why is a pagan revival so important right now?
Um, it's a good one. It's um, because it's going. We would be going back um, to the old ways, because that's a lot of mystics, a lot of mystic minded people will equate the fall of humanity with losing our religion, losing our connection to the divine, losing our connection to the gods, which caused a lot of harm to mankind. Um, I mean, if I'm totally honest, if we would have kept our connection to the divine, and especially here in Europe, to the gods, to the European gods, who never they never went away. Paganism never went away. It got suppressed really hard, but it never went away. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a revival. Um, but the and not everybody will go back. Not everybody will be part of the revival, part of the resurgence. Not everybody will find their way back. Some people are just too attached to the system, too bought into the system. But the pagan revival, the mystic revival, it makes us understand the world that we live in better. It makes us understand ourselves better. It makes us understand our fellow men better. And we live in quite dark times now. Um, Unless you're of course the one who is causing these dark times, then you're having just the time of your life. But the whole mystic revival, the whole pagan revival, it is the catalyst for us to find our way out of these dark times. This will lead us back into a golden age for mankind. I've talked to someone about this recently, and he made a really good point. This is, I believe, we are at the tail end of revelations of the Kali Yuga, of Ragnarok, and that this is the time of heroes. That this is the time where heroes will be made, will be created, will stand up, and eventually will take us to the next golden age of humanity. And I think that's why the pagan revival is so important and so interesting, and why religion is still being suppressed so much, or being misguided, because it's like you don't have to be religious to be spiritual. You don't have to be spiritual to religious, but it is important to at least acknowledge what is going on. Try to keep yourself in that higher vibration, because that's what is going to get us out of these dark times. Pagan revival is just one part of it, a major part here in Europe, here in the West, but one part of it.
Excellent. And Stein, I thank you very much for coming on today. We are approaching the 2 hour mark. I do thank you for your time, but I want to go ahead and open things up for you one more time. You can hop on that soapbox and say whatever you'd like to say to my audience out there. And please, by all means, follow that up with whatever you would like to plug.
Oh boy. Well, if I were to tell your audience anything, is to keep your eyes open, keep that vibration high, and just live the best life that you can. Eat healthy, work out, read a book, touch grass. Just be the best you that you can be, but acknowledge your weaknesses, acknowledge your darker sides, acknowledge your shadow sides, but just love everyone, love everybody, love yourself, love your that's why I said that Christianity is really, it's not bad. It's not a bad mystery school. It's all about love. Love thy neighbor, love yourself, love your next of kin, and just keep it up. Let's keep this upward trajectory going. And I want to thank you very much for giving me a chance to talk. We are indeed approaching 2 hours. It's gone by quite fast. But yeah, thank you very much. You can find the Greyhorn Pagans on greyhornpagans.com. It's official website. We have it since last week. You can find the Greyhorn Pagans podcast on pretty much all the bigger podcasting platforms. We talk about everything: paganism, witchcraft, mysticism, occult, just anything that I find interesting and that I think my audience will find interesting or is important to know. I've got a lot of shows coming up. I just recently, the podcast I did with Thomas Sheridan dropped on all our audio platforms. So yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for having me on. I got to talk a lot, and I hope you and your audience learn something from it.
Absolutely. I had a great time, and we definitely would love to have you back again in the future and catch up and see what you're up to at that time.
Of course, just send me a message and we'll set it up.
All right, my friend. In that case, thank you once again, and you have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
All right. What a fantastic interview. I had a great time. Let's go ahead and just take a short 10-minute break. And then we'll come here and talk a little news and call it a day. And welcome back to End of Days Radio. I'm your host, Daniel. Wow, what a great interview. My God. Definitely one of the most fascinating ones we've done so far. I'm always excited to do this show, especially when things are working right. I did change a little bit of my equipment around, got this camera working a little bit better. All the moving and hecticness of life really throws me off sometimes, but I feel like my heart's back in the show, and we are going to hit some new heights that we've never really hit before. I mean, technically, the sky's the limit, so there's nothing that should hold us back from being the best. Dang, what type of show is this, anyways? It's a devil's show. No, I'm just kidding. It's a show about going down the rabbit hole and ancient mysteries and making friends. It's not about doing drugs. It's not about making fun of people like a lot of these radio shows and podcasts. Like, isn't that a great way to spend the time? Let's put each other down. Let's make fun of each other. I'm going to make fun of people to make myself more famous. Like, isn't that so much of what's out there? Like, just toxic bullshit that doesn't really matter, doesn't really have any point to it, doesn't enlighten, doesn't make anybody's lives better. It's just pulp, right? It's nothing. It's nonsense. Okay, so I did want to do the mind-blowing moment of the day. Sorry, I'm a little light on instruments. Ooh, I got a guitar behind me. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but It's time for the mind-blowing moment of the day. The day. The day. Okay, let's say today's mind-blowing moment of the day will be when our guest Stijn Fawkes told us the story of Sleipnir, the eight-legged horse. Like a lot of characters from Norse mythology, I learned about them in the comic books, right? The Thor comics. Probably a terrible way to learn about this sort of thing, but hey, knowledge is knowledge. And if it gets people interested, I think it's a good thing. I know that I don't want to give the movie away, but let's just say there was a lot of other gods in the last Thor movie, which is really interesting as well. Okay, what do we have to talk about? What's in the news? The Chinese satellite balloon, the spy balloon. Big deal, right? Oh my God, there's a satellite floating above us and it's attached to a balloon. I hate to break it to you guys, but they're all balloons. There are no satellites. Have you ever seen one that wasn't attached to a balloon? No. Does that make you angry? Have you ever been into space? Okay, then why are you angry at the idea of the Earth not being round? Why does that make people so angry? They just want to kill flat Earth and they want it to be dead because whenever anybody brings it up, it completely challenges their worldview and all the fun stuff about space. It just goes right out the window. But one of these things that have gone out the window are satellites. I've never seen a satellite. All the pictures I've seen look like CGI. All the videos I've seen look like CGI. So what are they really? Well, they're balloons and things of that nature. Maybe some of them use anti-gravity or have some other way of staying up there. But everything that you think is in space, including the Mir space station, is not in space. It's just a really high altitude that is nowhere near what we would consider space. Like we can go up really far. That's why you've seen some pictures from space, but really they're too close up because they're just really high up in the atmosphere. And whenever you hear about it, a civilian going into space, like William Shatner, people like that, they're not really going into space. They're just going really high into the atmosphere. And if you believe it, I'm sorry, but you're a little naive. All that stuff's controlled by Freemasons. So one of these satellites floats down, and of course they come up with some clever bullshit reason that it's happening. Oh, that's a Chinese spy balloon. Yeah, they can't do better than that. What happened to the whole idea of satellites can read our license plates? Why would they have to attach one to a balloon? Well, I can explain that to you because they are all attached to balloons. Grow a brain, sheeple. Shave your wool and grow a brain. Shave your wool so you'll be a naked sheep. Because that's how they want you to be. They want you to be a naked and alone and afraid sheep with no wool to protect you from what's around you. Okay, what else? My commune is gaining momentum. Not that it's necessarily going to be called a commune, but it's just a place that we can go where we don't have to pay these high rent prices or housing costs, and we can all just live off each other and live free and independent. Because I know a lot of people out there that are really good people, but they don't really have anywhere to live right now. It's not just one or two. There's like a lot of people that I've come across that just don't have anywhere to live. And, sometimes they ask me if I can help them out or give them some money. And usually I have to tell them no. But I can at least brainstorm and try to figure something out. I mean, with all these rising prices of food and stuff like that, what would be wrong with just creating our own little kingdom somewhere where we don't have to follow Satan's laws anymore? I think it'd be good. I think we should give it a shot. All we got to do is find some big empty property out there with a well, and then we could start growing some weed. Yeah. Egg prices are going up, and people are buying chicken coops, and they're starting chicken coops. But why does it have to be just a chicken coop? Can't you have cows and pigs and weed and stuff like that? Grow some carrots, some onions. Like it doesn't just have to be chickens, because you got the chickens, you got the eggs, but what about when you want some milk, or what about when you want some steak? I guess you could eat a lot of chicken. Then you can hunt and fish and get what else that you need. If you get lost, you can summon a Sasquatch and he'll point the way home. Yeah, so I normally would never talk about a dream that I had on this program. I mean, what's more boring than that, right? Nobody wants to hear about your dream. But I had the craziest dream ever. So in this dream, it was like one of those multi-layered dreams within a dream. And I was with these other people, and like somehow we came to the conclusion that we were dreaming. And when we woke up, well, we were all going to before we woke up, we all decided amongst each other that we were going to use a keyword, like a special phrase. So when we woke up into the real world, we would utter this phrase and we'd all know that we were part of the same dream. So that's what happened. We woke up and we all uttered the phrase together, but really it was like a dream within a dream, right? And we're like confused. We're like, oh, what's going on? Suddenly these people come and grab us and they take us to this building and they go, we are the Illuminati. We can get inside of your dreams. We can do this, we can do that with these machines. I look around and there's all these like machines on the walls and stuff like that. I mean, at this point, I'm in some kind of tall corporate building and I'm being shown this secret technology that this so-called Illuminati, or that's what they're calling themselves, they have this stuff. And I mean, was that a dream or was it something else? Was it some kind of organization using technology to enter my dream and create this little scenario in order to teach me something? I don't see, it's not like I was thinking about anything like that during the day. It's not like I had anything like that on my mind, and yet I'm hit with this dream that's almost like that movie Inception, but of course it has something about the Illuminati in it. I think it was real because I woke up, I was just like, wow, like that. So this is what's going on now, right? Like all the freaking possessed people stalking me and shit like that. That's not enough. Now they're gonna get in my dreams. Such is life. Anyways, let's not forget that. Please donate to End of Days Radio. Go to endofdaysradio.com, where you can donate through PayPal, or you can even donate with Bitcoin. Please donate. Go to End of Days. Oh, I already said that. Guys, I will never charge you for this show. I've had people say, Daniel, go on Patreon or create some kind of paywall and release content that's exclusive so you can charge people. But every time I think of doing that, it goes against my nature, man. The idea that everybody's not getting this, it's not being put out there for the masses. Hey, General Lee, what's up, my man? The idea that this show is not reaching the masses or is not on its best foot to do something like that bothers me. So I'm just going to keep asking for donations. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee, I appreciate that. If you want to donate a little bit more and help me with this stack of bills, I appreciate that. I might use it to buy some equipment. I just bought this. I've some of my equipment was going out, so I had to buy this audio interface, and that seems to be working pretty good so far. But every once in a while, you gotta buy something for the show, or you at least have to take care of yourself so you can do a show. And your donations, there are literally times when you guys help me make ends meet. I prayed, and all of a sudden there was a donation, and suddenly I I was able to calm down because I knew that I was going to be okay. This is like PBS. It's purely donation based. Unfortunately, that means I have to do a little commercial every once in a while and annoy the piss out of you guys and basically beg for money. But hey, I'm not above doing things like that. I need the money. And one of these days, I would like to quit my job and not even have to wake up at 4:45 every morning. And instead, I could wake up at a more reasonable time, such as 7 or 8 o'clock, and I'd jump right in front of this mic and I'd do a show for you. Because that is the future I envision. That is the future that I want. Before I lose all of my hair, before I go completely gray, before I lose my ability to sustain any sort of erection, I would like to retire. I don't want to be completely, and by retire, I don't mean retire. I mean retire from the matrix so I can go on my own and just do this show. There will always be battles to fight. There will always be problems and consequences. But man, this 9 to 5, nobody should have to do this. We should be self sustaining ourselves. And I'm not trying to get off the grid because I'm lazy. I just don't want my time and energy to go to make somebody else rich. I would rather do this show where I can actually do something that matters instead of stacking bricks or cleaning toilets or whatever kind of ridiculous thing they've got you doing out there. And it's not that I don't think these things are important or necessary. I just want to be free, man. I want to be free, just like a lot of you out there. Okay, enough begging and pleading. Uh, I've been getting into guitar a little bit again. You know, all this moving and stuff, and had to sell a bunch of my synthesizers. I sold my Eurorack. Kind of a bummer. I lost a lot of my a lot of my drive to create music, but I feel like it's starting to come back, and I think this is a really good thing. It means my creative spark is rising up again, and I think that being in this new place and the fact that I finally got my guitar all set up again, I think it's important. I think it marks a great time for me, a revival of spirit. You know, we were talking about the pagan revival, and I think this is something that's really happening. I mean, it started in 2020 with me when I was contacted by Enki from ancient Sumer and beyond. That's when I had my personal pagan revival. Not that I was calling it that, but I knew something was changing in the atmosphere. I knew that what was happening to me was meaningful in some way. And yeah, a lot of people freaked out, and you know, I lost a lot of my Christian fans, but I also gained Christian fans that are a little bit more open minded and are willing to look at this stuff because I've said it time and time again. There's more than one God in the Bible. There's quite a few different gods mentioned in the Bible, and it even says that God sits at the head of the assembly of gods. So if there's only one God, why is the God of the Bible in the Old Testament warring with all these other countries or city states and having these issues if he's all powerful, right? Could it be that we're talking about a different type of God sometimes, as in source, and other times we're talking about some sort of deity? Seems most likely that is the case. And I know people will be angry and offended and say, "Oh, Daniel, you are trying to deceive me and guide me away from the truth." But how did you know that was the truth in the first place? Because it got beaten into your head. I mean, there could be more to it. I'm not saying it's not the truth, but there could be more to it. Is that fair enough? Am I going to hell because I have a skull and crossbones flag behind me? Am I going to hell because I talk about Lucifer? Yes, willingly. No, I'm just kidding. Um, like it's funny because like this show and me, we've both gotten this reputation for being dark or sinister. But if you actually watched it and paid attention to what I have to say, there's nothing aggressive or evil or condescending or pedophilic or uh, negative about what I've been involved in at all. Like if I look back at all these practices and strange things I've engaged in, I mean, some of the people that were talking to me were a little freaky. But as far as me and what I've been doing, I don't think that I've done anything evil here. I can't really think of anything like that that's going on. I think it is what it is. It's been like an enlightenment thing, an illumination. I believe that is what it's been. Otherwise, some terrible, chaotic evil will have manifested by now, and it hasn't. Things have gotten, I've had my ups and downs, but for the most part, they've gotten better. So, or at least the same. So I don't think that I'm going to hell or I've committed some kind of grievous offense by getting into magic or anything like that. But you know what? Enough's enough. I'm not going to sit here and do a super long show today. I didn't plan to. I've got some new equipment I'm testing out, so I don't want to take it too deep. Besides, I'm trying to cut the show back a little bit. I know that's going to freak some people out, but I'm thinking about the person that stumbles upon an episode of End of Days Radio and sees 5.5 hours and says, "No, I'm not getting into that. No, no, no." I don't think that person. I don't think these casuals can really deal with anything over, let's say, 3.5 hours. So let's keep it between like 2.5 and 3.5 hours and call it good. I'm not gonna do a super short show like an hour or 2 hours. That's pretty pathetic. No offense to anybody out there, but you can at least do 2.5 hours, right? Give people something to actually listen to. But the marathon thing, it probably needs to stop. My guides are telling me to stop doing marathons. They look out for me and they look out for the progress and growth of the show, because this show is literally infused with entities. Or I guess that's kind of a bad way to put it. This show is literally guided by higher forces. See, it's all how you frame things. You don't want to say like there's a possessed Chucky doll guiding the action. Just say it's higher forces. That way you keep your contingent. But I've had a great time, everybody. I hope to see you next week. But until then, I bid you adieu. Good night. Until next time, peace out.